Hello and welcome back. This is Jennifer McGuire, and this is day 2 of my favorite crafty things for 2019, and today is all about dies, which happen to be my favorite, so I'm excited to share this. Throughout this series, I share some of my favorite products from the year, but keep in mind that this is just so you can do a little window shopping, you can look at different products, see if you like any, or if you might have something in your stash that is very similar. If you're interested in taking a closer look at any of these products, I have some links in my description below. You can head over to my blog, which has all the product links and links to videos using the different products. I also have some great discount codes that are exclusive to the series. I also have some giveaways and much more. I can't fit all of the links to these products in the description below, so be sure to just head over there to see everything you need to find. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in since I have a lot to share with you today. And let's start with word dies. Word dies are definitely the type that I use the most, as it's a great way to add a sentiment to a card. If you're looking for a die set that includes lots of different occasions, I recommend this one from the Stamps of Life. It has several different occasions, covers many things that you could need. And what's nice is it has the word die and the shadow die included, so you can use them together or separately. I like when the shadow is included because you can cut that from either white cardstock or vellum, and it allows your word die cut to stand out against a busy background. A word die that I've used many times this year is from Birch Press, and it's the Big Hello Sugar Script. Again, this has the word hello and the shadow die included. The nice thing about the hello sentiment is that you can add that to a card, and then underneath it you can add a small sentiment strip for any particular occasion. The word hello works for anything. Next we have the Gina K Design Hugs Die. I like to send greetings of hugs, and this one just has a really beautiful look to it. It's nice and large, and it fills a card nicely, as you can see with this example. And remember, I do provide links to all the videos of the card samples I share here. Next we have Heffy Doodle Sunshine Die. The nice thing about the Sunshine die cut is that it works for a lot of occasions, and it's just such a happy sentiment. You could stamp happy birthday above it, thank you above it, any message you want, and then just add the word sunshine, and you can have a bright and cheery card. I really like the Poppy Stamps Luscious Script Thanks die set. It has the word thanks and the shadow die included. I like that it's large and fits nicely across a card, and that it's bold so you can actually stamp on the die cut itself. By the way, that note card that I show next to the products throughout this video is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so you can get a little bit of a size reference for each die. Here's an example that I did using this thanks die cut. You can see how nice and large the die cut is on a card. I also really like the Simon Says Stamp Bold Thanks die. I like that this isn't a script. Most word dies are script, so the letters are connected. But this one's connected anyways and gives a really beautiful look on a card, especially with the stamp sentiment below it. I'm hoping that more come out with this style in the future. I have a few more thanks dies since it's such a popular occasion and I use them often. This is the Altenew Fancy Thanks. It is definitely fancier. So the nice thing about this die is that you can use it with a simple card and it adds a lot to it. I have a few examples using this, and I have more videos coming with it soon too. If you prefer a thank you sentiment over the word thanks, you can check out the Stamp Market Handwritten Thanks die. This has the die for thank you and the shadow die included. Although the word you is underneath the word thank, you could cut the words apart and put them next to each other to change the orientation. Because of the size and the fun style of this die set, you can keep the rest of your card very simple, as I did with this example. Another fun die set is the Hello Bluebird Thankful for You dies. This has the word grateful and thankful, and then also a block die that cuts for you. You can use the block or the individual letters. I've used these dies a lot lately. I like that you can simply add them on top of the focal point of your card, and then you can stamp an additional thank you sentiment on the inside. And the last one that I wanted to recommend with kind of a thankful theme is the Ink to Paper Sweet Blessing Die Set. This has the large words blessed and thankful. I really like that blessed. I think it works great for lots of different occasions, and this has a very large size that fills a card nicely. Okay, so another mixed word die set that I wanted to include that sometimes gets missed because it has other dies with it is the W+9 Welcome Die Set. This has the words hello, thanks, and welcome in a nice small but usable size. Then there's also the hexagon with the frame and a little bow that is super cute and an adorable little house. Sometime coordinating die sets or die sets with additional shapes have word dies included, so don't overlook those. Oftentimes, the word dies are great too. For birthday, we have the Greeting Farm Birthday Wishes die. Look how large and beautiful and interesting this die cut is. So it would be perfect for creating a quick birthday card, but you can also cut the words apart. So if you want to stamp happy above the word birthday, you can. You can also use the word wishes by itself and stamp something else with it, such as sending warm wishes. I like dies that can be stretched to get different sentiments from them. For something a bit different, I have the Paper Smooches You Are a Blessing die. Such a wonderful sentiment that is sure to cheer anyone up. The nice thing about this die is it cuts the letters for You Are a Blessing, and you can use the negative space or the little letters themselves. And there also is a frame included that has tiny little pinpoint details on it. So you can again use this die in many ways. I also wanted to include a few word dies that say thinking of you, and the first one is from Pretty Pink Posh. This is a nice thin detailed word die that you can position as you see here, or you can put the words next to each other to stretch across a horizontal card. I like the thin style of it. But if you're looking for something a little bit more bold, you can check out the Thinking of You sentiment from Paper Smooches. The reason I like the bold look of this is you can actually stamp on the die cuts and see the pattern. Oftentimes, word dies are very thin, so it's hard to add stamping. So this is a nice option, and again, you can cut the words apart. I also like to find word dies that are a bit different, something I don't already have, and I liked the Picket Fence Always die. We have the very dainty Always word, along with the shadow die for it. So you could do a little Thinking of You stamp right above it, so it says Thinking of You Always, or Sending Hugs Always. So it's a nice one that you can add with stamp greetings you might have. I also wanted to include a few alphabet dies today because then you can personalize your greetings. This is the Stamp Market Skinny Upper Die Set, and these letters are almost 2.5 inches tall, but they're narrow so you can actually fit words onto your card. And since they're tall and thin, you can add a sentiment strip across it and it won't block off the letters. It'd be fun to do a birthday card where you do the person's name with the alphabet dies and then stamp a sentiment strip that says happy birthday to go along it. Personalized cards are always the best, especially for kids. Here we have the Create a Smile Cherry Lowercase Die Set. I believe they also have an uppercase and a number set. I always like to use the lowercase, and what I like about this set is it's got the letters and the outline of the letters. On the top, you can see what the outline and solid are like together. In the middle, we have the outline. In the bottom, we have the solid. I just got this die set. I'm really excited about it, and I have it coming in a new video, so stay tuned for that. Here we have the Pink Fresh Studios Kelly Alpha Die Set. I like the lowercase. I just love the unique style of these. This is great for creating a focal point on a card where you don't want to add too much else to it. Such a unique look. I've used this one several times. In fact, I did a set of note cards where I used the initials of the person on the card. And here's an example where I just used the word hi. In addition to word dies, I also use background dies quite often. The reason is there are so many different techniques that you can do with background dies, so you can really stretch them and get your money's worth. So I'm going to show you a few here. Keep in mind that the note card that I bring in is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so you can see what the size of the die is. This is the reverse confetti stitched circles die, so it cuts a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And there are little dots that are die cut and also stitched circles. I just think it adds an interesting background, and you could even do a fun, colorful inlay with all of those open dots. Another background die with lots of details is the Brutus Munroe tile die. This cuts 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with a nice frame around the edge and lots of detail inside. It's beautiful as white on white for a tone-on-tone background and something subtle behind a stamped image. One background die that I've used a lot this year is the Crafter Companion Tile Die. Now this doesn't cut the outside edge, so you can do this on any size paper that you want, but it does fit nicely on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. You just would trim the edge and it would leave a nice frame. Now this one looks great, again, for any type of background. Now you could use it as is here and it looks like little scallops or rainbows, or you can use it upside down and get the look of waves. And you can see the fun dimensional look that it gives. Here I did an inlay to create a few rainbows along the pattern. This next background die could be used for lots of different styles of cards. This is the Studio Katia grid die. So it cuts 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with a nice frame around the edge with pinpoint details. So you could just use this on a simple background or do a really cool inlay technique, which I plan to do in a video soon. Here's an example where I just did white on white. You can see how if this card were just left without that background die, it wouldn't have nearly as much interest as adding it in. I had so much fun with the Concord and 9th Hexagon Designer Die Set. Used this in a video recently. It cuts that white hexagon pattern that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But the die set also includes those little zigzaggy pieces that you see here. And what's nice about these is they're sized just right to add color behind rows, either horizontally or diagonally. So instead of taking the time to do inlay, you could use these behind it instead. Here are a couple examples I did. This one I did an inlay of a bunch of different colors, and on this one I used the strips behind the die cut to give a quick rainbow look. Next up, we have the Stamp Market Lots of Dots die. Now this does not cut the outside edge, so you could actually use the die on the front of your note card. Now it does trim down nicely to go onto a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece. Now you could do fun stitching for this, you could add color behind it. Again, I just did white on white to add interest behind this simple card. That dot pattern goes nicely with a variety of card styles. Here we have the Lawn Fawn Portrait Heart Backdrop, such a cute background die. It cuts 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with the little hearts and 4 openings. Now, you may notice that a lot of my examples I share here are white on white backgrounds. I do that because it's an easy way to use background dies on simple cards. But I use my background dies for a lot of colorful techniques, as I've shown in many videos. I just usually go back to those background dies again in the future for those simple tone-on-tone backgrounds to get more use from them. Now this unique Altenew Radial Hearts background die is one of my favorites this year because of the unique look it offers. It does cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And the great thing is it cuts that heart pattern, but all of the hearts that are left over are great to use on cards too. Lots of different hearts and lots of different sizes. Great to put inside a shaker card also. I've used this a few times, and here's an example where I actually made an impression with the background die on craft cardstock and then inked over the die with white pigment ink for a really cool textured looking background. Here we have the Hero Arts Flower Garden die. I like this because it cuts perfectly to go on the front of a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card, but no frame around the edge. So it's got the nice perfect size. This is great for coloring these pieces. You can die cut this from white, add lots of color to it, or cut the little pieces out in different colored cardstock and build a colorful background. Lots of ways to use it. I used it on the inside of this card. You can see there's some pink on pink and then a little gray on the inside of that pop-up feature. I also wanted to include a few layering die sets in today's video. I am a huge fan of background layering dies, but they do have a higher price point because you have 3 backgrounds. So that's why I like to do videos that show many ways to use them. This first one from Birch Press is a favorite because it creates these two pieces that you can either use together on a die or on a card or separately. So you can see the beautiful layering that you get. All you have to do is die cut it from 3 colors of cardstock. Simple as that. So here are a couple examples. On the first one, I used the outside piece alone. On the second one, I used the inside pieces alone. But remember, you can use them together too to cover the entire front of your card. I love the detailed layering that these dies give. Another that I like this year is the Birch Press Epiphany Layer Die Set. So again, 3 full-size dies here, and this actually cuts 3 pieces with each die. You have the outside frame, a circle with an opening in the center, and then the circle piece that goes inside of that. All of these dies can be used separately if you don't want to do the layering, but together they create a really beautiful dimensional look. And by the way, I'll go ahead and link here on the top right to a video that I've done sharing many ways to use layering dies, because I think it's important to come up with ways to use them creatively too. Here's an example that I did where I cut all of the layers from white and put it on a light gray note card. Then I added some gemstones into the opening and then added a simple sentiment on top. Now, if you are looking to dive into the world of layering dies but don't want to start with big backgrounds, this is another fun option. This is a smaller layering die set that fits nicely in the center of a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. Or you can put it on the edge of the card. And they actually have another die set that covers the top part if you want to check that out. But I liked this one as an option that's lower price that fits nicely in the center. So you can see how it would be a great backdrop for a simple sentiment for a very fast to make card. I use this particular layering die set in a video coming soon. Another type of background die that I really like are those that don't cut but rather add detail. This is the all-to-new Dotted Swirls Debossing Cover Die. It doesn't cut, but rather you run the die through your die cut machine as you would a regular die, and it creates this dotted pattern that is great for a background. Love the very detailed look that it gives. It adds such a rich look to your cards. You could even use this die on top of a shaped die cut to give it the details. I also really like the Reverse Confetti Stitched Burst Die. This one, again, doesn't cut anything. It just creates those fun little burst patterns. So you could do this on the front of a note card since it doesn't cut an outside edge. And those little details add a lot of interest. Another of my most used background dies from this year is the Reverse Confetti Diagonal Stitches Die. This does cut the outside edge to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and in the center you just have the diagonal faux stitching. You could die cut this once to get the diagonal lines or twice to get the pattern that you see on this card example here. I like that you can use this in multiple ways. Okay, next up we have the Mama Elephant Scales Die. This does cut an outside edge that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it debosses an inside frame next to that. Then we have all the tiny dots in a fun mermaid kind of scale background. Now for something a little bit different, we have the Avery L Quilted Frame Die Set. This cuts a frame that is actually 4 by 5 1/4, so it's a little bit smaller than a typical note card. It also cuts the oval opening in the center. The die set also includes the word thank you. You can see here the detail of the die. We have the quilted pattern in the background, and in that center oval piece, there are the little pinpoints on the edge, so you could use that piece also. If you wanted, you could also cover the oval opening as I did on this card example here. Another background die that creates faux stitching details is the W+9 Stitched Ironworks die. This does cut outside 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then you have this unique faux stitching pattern. I've used this on several cards and videos, and you can see how it adds a lot to the background because of that unique pattern. I also enjoy background dies that create frames for your card. This is the Hero Arts Crafting Border Frame die, and it cuts that frame that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches on the outside. I like the Crafty supplies feel or theme of this. You could use it as a solid color frame, or you can add color to the individual pieces. I decided to add the color on the inside and leave the border die cut white for my example here. And last but not least, for background dies, I've included the all-too-new Delicate Mandala die. Now, this isn't really a background, but it's so large that it covers a background nicely, so I included it here. Now, I did a card example with this where I actually have it hanging over a smaller note card. Such a fun, detailed die that you can use for layering, as I show here, and just for simple backdrop. Okay, I have 2 more categories of dies, and the next one is just other dies that don't fit into the other categories, or specialty dies that I'll show later. First up, we have the Birch Press Adora dies. These are 3 layering dies that cut circle elements. There's the outer circle, an inner circle, and then a dot that goes in the center. Here you can see how they fit together nicely, so you can use them together or separately or individually. Here's an example where I just used the outside and I cut all 3 layers from white cardstock to provide kind of a center point for that heart to go inside. Now, probably the die I've used more than any other this year, believe it or not, is the Memory Box Bright Hearts die, because I often like to add little heart die cut accents on my card, and this cuts a lot of hearts in different sizes, and they are perfectly shaped. But you could use the die as the circle element to create a focal point on a card. It's a great one that can be used in many different ways. Here we have the Concord and 9th Sew in Love dies. I'm a big fan of stitching on cards, and this creates a fun pattern that's quick to stitch, or you could leave it unstitched and just have a dot pattern. I did a video showing many ways to use this die set, and even check it out over on the right. I die cut it repeatedly to cover a background. The Studio Katia Halftone Dots Circle Die Set is a very unique one. There are actually 4 dies in the set. One cuts that outer ring of open circles, one cuts the inner ring of dots, and then there are 2 circle dies that you can use outside and inside of these. So I just use the dotted ring dies to cut the example that you see there on the right, but you can use them together or separate. So there are many different ways you could layer these together and get different looks. You'll be seeing this one on a video coming very soon. For something very different but very useful, we have the Newton's Nook Speech Bubbles dies. Now, all of these speech bubble dies are included, including that border that you see up on the top. I like these because I'll just cut a bunch from white cardstock and keep them on hand. I can add a little greeting on them and then use them with any critter stamped images that I may have. So this is great for creating fun, quick scenes on a card. Next, we have the Neat Entangled Skinny Strips dies. This is another set that I use behind the scenes a lot. As you know, I use sentiment strips on my cards quite often, so I have a bunch of these pre-cut in a little bowl at my desk, so I can reach for them whenever I want to create a sentiment strip. All I have to do is stamp on them and I'm ready to go. I like that many different sizes are included and different ends. So some are just square cut and some have the flag ends. So this offers a lot of options. If you are also a big fan of sentiment strips, I recommend the Honeybee Straight Sliders Die Set. Now this die set is actually meant for creating slider cards, interactive cards. However, it's great for creating sentiment strips too. So the rounded edge just gives a softer look and is a nice alternative to the kind of blunt cut that we often use. Now this set from Altenew is one that I had the most fun with this year. It creates some fun layered flower patterns and you can create lots of different looks with it. I think it's best to see some completed card examples to see the unique looks you can get. And it's a great way to use up any colorful cardstock scraps that you may have. So I'm going to make a bunch of note card sets using this die set. Next, we have the Poppy Stamps Cottage Window Die Set. This is such a unique, very detailed die set, and I have it coming in a video very soon. Check out the little shutters and the details around the window. This is perfect for creating a simple card, and you can put any little things outside of the window. You could do some trees, you could do a little scene with some critters. You could even die cut a window on the front of your card so that the window shows through to the inside of your card. This is a great detailed die set that's perfect for teaming up with stamps or dies you already have for new looks. Okay, now Creative Expressions has a line of Edgard dies that are so very unique, and I think they're worth checking out. This is one of the examples, probably my favorite. It's the Sunflower Edgard die. All you do is you cut that large die from a piece of cardstock, add it to a note card, and check out the really cool look you can get. You can leave it 2 colors like this and keep it as a simple card, or you can add color to all of those details using markers. This is again one of those dies that allows you to create something elaborate and intricate very quickly, so you can save time but still create something beautiful. I also recommend the border dies from Paper Rose. This particular one is the gum leaf border die. You can use that border die anywhere you want on the front of a card. You could even do it on the front edge of a note card to allow you to see through to the inside. It also adds faux stitching detail next to the die cut opening. You could add color to this, or again, just leave it 2 colors as I have here. I also like that you can use this horizontal, vertical, or diagonally. Okay, for another unique product, this is the Simon Says Stamp Shimmer Rounded Rectangle Die Set. Now this has 2 dies. The one on the left cuts a frame with faux stitching on the outside edge. The one on the right cuts all that detailed pattern and it fits inside, so you can use them together or separately. I like that you have the different options because that frame can be used just for a window on the front of a card, so you can extend the life of the die. Here's an example that I did in a video where I did inlay for that pattern, and I also used the frame to add additional faux stitching details. If you've watched my videos, you may have noticed that I like to use heart elements on my cards because I feel like they fit in with the theme of many of my cards. This one is the Poppy Stamps Shaker Heart Die Set. There are pinpoint details on these frames, and I use that large heart quite often. I find that it's a perfect size frame for a sentiment or just a focal point on your card. You can see here I added die cuts on the inside of this one that were leftover scraps. And of course, these frames are perfect for creating shaker cards. Next we have the Simon Says Stamp Clustered Leaves Die. I like this die because it's large, so you can position it in different ways on your card. It's also very detailed, so you can add different colorful scraps in the openings. Now Simon Says Stamp also has the Clustered Leaves die that is solid, so you can either layer these together or use them separately. Here's an example where I filled those leaves in with colorful scraps, another way to use those scraps up. This die I use a lot, and I know a lot of other crafters do too. Another Simon Says Stamp die set that I've been having fun with lately is the eucalyptus dies. Now these are very detailed, very thin in the center, and then there are lots of little details on the leaves themselves. These are great to create a cluster with any flower dies you have, or as I did here, I stamped with the die cuts in the background and then added a cluster of the die cuts behind my sentiment. I just recently purchased this greenery die set called the botanicits Sunflower Dies. I was really impressed with how well they cut and layer together. Lots of details in these. Now, of course, I would use different colors than the scraps that I used here, but I wanted to show you all the detail pieces that are included in the set that layer together beautifully. Hope to use these in a video very soon, but I wanted to share them because I think it has such a unique layered look to them. I also like to recommend dies that are all-inclusive, so basically all you need is that die set to create a card. In this case, we have the Spellbinders Floral High Die Set. Now this floral piece here creates the floral cluster die cut, but also makes an impression of the word high. Then you have the high dies themselves that you can layer on top, and additional flower and leaf dies that you can use to create little die cuts to add to that background to give it even more layered dimension. This is a really pretty one that you could keep simple with, say, gold foil cardstock, or you could use lots of colorful pieces to create something a little more elaborate. One small die set that I've used often this year is the Your Next Stamp Feather Die Set. I just think feathers are a nice alternative to using flowers quite often, and these cut with beautiful detail. Now I use these dies in a video where I show many ways to use up scraps. You can actually use the dies to cut from the scraps themselves, or you can use them just to create white die cuts that you put against a colorful background. I also find that the feather dies work with a lot of different sentiments. I also wanted to include a few more practical dies. These are dies that can be used on any card you create. This is the reverse confetti stitched hex tag die. Now you could use this to create a hexagon shaped tag, or you can just use the shape itself, like on the edge of a card. I like that there are 3 lines of faux stitching on the top and the bottom, and there's this little piece to create a tag topper if you want. I've used this one many times in videos in the past, and here's an example of where I had added some flowers and sentiments to that tag shape. Another set that you've probably seen me use an awful lot in videos is the Fawn Just Stitching Double Rectangle Die Set. So the largest rectangle is slightly smaller than a note card, and this doesn't actually cut. It just creates 2 lines of faux stitching that you can add to your note card or any rectangle piece. You can see there are different sizes, which I feel just adds a little bit of detail to a very simple card. There are also circles that you could check out too, but I find I reach for those rectangles often. For border dies, I like the Studio Katia dotted patterned border dies. So there are 3 dies here. One's curved with pinpoint details on both sides, one's straight with pinpoint details on both sides, and one is just a pinpoint line. So it doesn't actually cut, but just adds a line of detail along your card. So there you can see the curved one and just the single pinpoint detail line. Here is the straight one with the pinpoint details. Just a fun way to add those special little touches to a card. Now there are many die sets out there that cut circle shapes with faux stitching or faux pinpoint detail on the inside or outside. What's really fun about these Winkys Stamp pierced and stitched circles is that it has both. Inside of the cutting edge you have faux stitching. Outside, you have pinpoint detail, so you get the 2 different options. So you can use the negative space or the circle itself. I like the subtle detail that it gives, and it's a fun alternative to the other dies I've seen out there. Another unique circle die set that I've had a lot of fun with is the Poppy Stamps Pinpoint Rings Die Set. Now this doesn't actually cut circles, but rather creates little pinpoint details in a circle shape. You can see the pattern here. There are 3 that are perfect for creating a focal point on a card. Now for my example, I actually used one of these rings on the inside of a die cut circle, so you can use them together with your circle dies. I like how it added a little bit of detail behind that sentiment. Now a very practical die set that I've used a lot this year is the Pink and Main Thin Fishtail Banner Die Set. They actually have a wider die set too if you like the style. This creates these fishtail banners with faux stitching on the inside edge, and they're great for creating a little banner for sentiments or to add your stamped images, as I did with this example. I just find that banner shape is a nice alternative to using just a rectangle. Now I am really excited about the Cat Scrappiness Embossed Edge die sets. I recently bought all 3 sets and have loved the results. So basically this set here cuts squares, but on the inside edge of the cutting line is an embossing line. It's a wide embossed line. So when you run it through your die cut machine, it cuts the square with that impressed edge right inside, which is a beautiful finishing touch. These are available in squares, rectangles, and circles, and I will be using these a lot in upcoming videos. Just got them, tried them, and they work great. I will say these little details may not seem like much in the video, but in real life they add a lot to a card. Now I have had the Hero Arts Infinity die sets on my favorites list for many years now because they are incredibly practical and they have a great price point. There are circles, squares, rectangles, ovals, stars, any possible shape you can imagine. But I definitely use the Circle Infinity die set the most. There are many circle dies in here, everything you could possibly use. You may notice I have one missing here, so I'm going to have to buy a new die set. Oh, if I can't find it. But I use this die set hands down more than any other set that I have. If you haven't checked out Infinity Dies from Hero Arts, I recommend doing so. Now I've learned recently that many of you like to make larger cards, such as 5x7. If that's you, I do recommend getting the Waffle Flower A7 layer dies. This has all the dies you could possibly need for a 5x7 card, and the largest actually cuts 5x7. So be sure to check that out if you enjoy making the larger size cards. The last category of dies that I wanted to cover today are specialty dies. Now, most of these are for interactive cards. I enjoy interactive cards, but I know that most of these types of die sets are more expensive. So I wanted to share a few that I recommended because of the many ways that you can use them. Because I don't want to make this video too long, I can't show you how to assemble all of these in this video, but I will provide links to how-to videos below. This is the Honeybee House Builder card base. This comes with all of the dies that you need to create a cute little house-shaped card. Check that out. And you can use this along with other dies, maybe Christmas dies you have or little critters. So it's one of those that is great for extending the life of other products. All you have to do is cut that house base twice and use that little topper piece folded to connect the two, and then decorate the front of the card however you want. Lila and I plan to make a bunch of cards using the set over Thanksgiving break to give as holiday cards. If you like shadow box-like cards but don't want to take the time to think one through, I recommend the Pink and Main Holiday Scene Builder Die Set. Although there are holiday dies included in this set, you could just use the basic assembly dies to create a shadow box type card with any dies or stamps that you already have. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to assemble the outside of this, the shadow box card or the pop-up box card, so that you can see what it looks like and you can decorate it how you want. So I just die cut from some scraps of cardstock that I had, so just have some random colors here. The dies create the little score lines that you fold along. On this big piece, you put adhesive on the flaps, the little hands that are sticking out there, and you glue the long rectangle piece to connect those. You can already see how this is forming a fun shadow box card. Now there are two little slope pieces that you can glue on the inside. I first glued them all the way in the bottom of our shadow box, but you can make them higher if you wanted. I put glue on the flaps, and I'm going to slide it in there and glue it so those flaps touch the back of the card. So you can see I have one layer in there, and there is one more die cut to create another layer in there. So once again, I'll fold on the score lines, add adhesive on the little flaps, slide it in there, and make it so that the edge of those flaps touch the last piece we added in there. Now check this out. This is so cool. It has this great pop-up look, but it'll flatten nicely and fit in a regular card. So it flattens down to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And now you can decorate this however you want. So you can make a winter scene, a summer scene, anything at all. So I don't usually include holiday sets in my favorite series, but this one I included because of this basic assembly that you can make for a shadow box or pop-up card. I just love it. I also wanted to include the Lawn Fawn Magic Picture Changer die set on my list because it's one of the most creative interactive die sets I've ever seen. Now, Lila and I have made a bunch of cards using this Magic Slider die set. She loves it too. However, I don't have a video, so I asked Kelly from Lawn Fawn if I could share one of her examples. Here is how it works. When you open the card, you see this little scene, and when you pull the tab on the top, the scene changes. So in this case, it changes from rain to a rainbow. So you could have any two scenes you want. There are also add-on die sets that coordinate with this nicely. I hope to use this in a video soon, but if you like really special interactive cards, this one's really easy to use. And by the way, I will link to a great video that Kelly Marie did showing several ways to use this die set and how to assemble them. Next, we have the Mama Elephant Wiper Surprise die set. This is one that Lila and I play with often. Those funny looking mechanisms are to create a card like this. It's folded, and when you pull it to the side, a fun little surprise image pops up. Now this card is from Mama Elephant. They said that I could share it here. And they have a great video showing how to use all of those different wiper surprise dies. So this doesn't only work in one way. All those different dies work to create pop-ups or surprise images in different directions. I have a video coming very soon showing this, but I wanted to include it today since this set includes so much. I am a firm believer in spoiling teachers, so I really wanted to include the ink to paper pencil gift card holder die. This would be great for kids too. Basically, you cut using the dies included, and you fold along the score line. And what you get is this little pocket that is pencil shaped. So I'm putting glue on the little flap there, and then I can close it shut. Then I have the little decorative piece that I cut from yellow cardstock, and I'm going to glue on the front of that. You can stamp and decorate these however you want. I just wanted to quickly assemble to show you. Now the inside piece, you can add the eraser and the little silver band detail. And then you can slide in a gift card or a note if you prefer. Now this piece slides into the pencil, and that's your fun gift card pencil holder. So fun and unique. And again, you could use it as a card instead if you prefer. I'll be doing this for all of my teacher cards this year, along with some pencils that are engraved on the side. And I get those from Bossy Jossie's website. So anyways, if you're looking for a teacher gift card holder, this is so much fun. Then we have the honeybee gift card present die. This is another one great for holding gift cards, or you could use it as a card. Now I went ahead and die cut some pieces. All of these are from scrap paper because I just wanted to assemble it quickly to show you. I'll be using this one on gifts for my non-teacher friends. Now there's these little flaps on this main piece. You fold them over and add adhesive, and then take the other die cut square and glue it on top. This makes a pocket with an opening at the top. Next, you're going to take the inside pieces. I have one solid rectangle and then 3 rectangles with a small rectangle opening. I'm gluing all of these together, and what this creates is a little pocket or a little indentation where you can slide a gift card. So it'll hold it there for you. So once I have this glued in place, I can go ahead and add the top of the box onto this. So there's this folded die cut piece. I'm putting adhesive on that, adding it to the top of our rectangle piece, and this will slide into that pocket. Now we can add our little decorative ribbon pieces. All of these dies are included, and then a little decorative bow on top too. So when the person pulls the top of the box off of this card, the little gift card is exposed. You could also just write a message in there if you prefer, or even fold up a little money and put it there also. I also think it would be fun to add a little photo inside. These little bow dies that I'm using now to create this bow, that can be used on other cards too, not just on this. And this little gift card box could be used year-round, especially for birthdays too. And here you can see how the gift card just pops right in, and there you have a fun and unique gift card holder. I like looking for other ways to present gift cards other than just sticking it in a card, and this is a great option. You could stamp on it or even use pattern paper. Last but not least is probably the most wow interactive die set I've ever seen. It's from Karen Burniston, and it's the Photo Collage Pop Up Dies. One of my friends over at Simon Says Stamp told me about this, and I had to buy it right away, and it is so much fun to use. Now, I can't show you on here how to assemble this because it takes a bit of time, but the dies cut everything you need, so it makes it a bit easier. I will link to Karen's video to show how to make it, but check it out. When you assemble it, which I just did quickly from scrap paper, when you open it, look at this fun pop-up collage of photos. So you could stamp little images on there, you could put little sentiments on there, you could put photos, anything you want. And when you open it up, they all pop out to create a surprise. So unique, and again, I'll try to use it in a video soon. Lila and I are going to play with it this weekend, but Karen's video really goes through in great detail how to assemble it. So much fun and such a great surprise card. All right, that wraps it up. I apologize for the long video, but there was just so much that I had to share. If you are interested in these products or the videos or cards that I shared, be sure to check out my blog post. I have it linked below. I can't fit everything in the description, so you need to head over to my blog post for the multiple sources to find things, the exclusive discount codes, the videos, the giveaways, and more. I promise there's a lot there. And if you are interested in checking out my favorite stamps from the year, I have them linked here in the center, along with my favorite dies from last year. Thanks for watching. I am so thankful you joined me today, and we'll see you soon with more of my favorite crafty things.